All right. Good to see everybody. Happy Wednesday. Big waves to you. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, okay. I know the coach's corner, everybody that makes this up, realize this. If you're new to this community, we have people that tune in all across the world. So either recordings or they're listening live on social media or they're on this Zoom. And I just got to say a big shout out and congratulations to you guys because you're the ones that spread this. We pick a word of the day, we expand on it, and it's just been such a blessing. What was meant to be such a little amount of time that we're going to do this during COVID has turned out to be several years in the making that we've been doing this every morning. So it's been amazing because of the community. But I want to give a shout out because Mr. Masaba, this word is for you. And Masaba comes in every morning from Uganda and just has this smiling face, always happy, always excited. Can't wait for our opportunity to get to him. And I just got to give you a big shout out, Masaba, because this word that you picked for the year is trust. And remember, if you've got a word that you pick for the year, send it to Andrea Rosser. We'll expand on it. But Masaba picked trust. And if you look at the definition of trust, it's assured reliance on a character, ability, strength, truth of someone or something. Like there's confidence in something. And I come across a couple of quotes I just want to touch on this morning. That one is trust is built in very small moments. And I'll tell you where I went with it this morning is I reflected on myself. So I challenge each of us this morning, like open your heart up and think about yourself when I talk about these things. Because some of them speared me. Like some of them was like, hey, buddy, you need to you need to do a better job. So trust is built in small moments. And here's where I went with that. It's if I say I'm going to do something, do it. You know, I think we all would agree that there's only been one perfect human to ever walk this world, and it's not me, probably not you. Um, so we've all got flaws. We all mess up. We all trip over our feet. That's life. It's ordained. It's going to happen. I don't think that's the merit of trust. I think trust is when I say, you know what, I'll do a call with you. I'm going to do the call. Or trust is I'm going to show up to do a meeting. I'm going to show up. I'm not going to break. It's those little small moments. And we could take that in every phase of our life. And so that's one thing that I looked at myself on. Another one was trust isn't about liking everyone on your team. Think about your profession. Think about what you do daily. It's not about liking everyone. We all have differences, right? And you go, how can I not like you? Well, I think we can love everybody, and we might not necessarily think, oh, they're my favorite human in the world. So trust isn't about liking the team, everybody on it. It's about being able to count on the team. Have you ever had somebody you knew you could count on, but maybe they didn't personality wise? It was kind of like oil and vinegar for you, but you knew that person was someone you could count on. And I thought about myself in that. I'm like, I want to be that human. And I came across this one. Consistency is the true foundation of trust. You know, think about maybe it's our health journey. Are we flaky? We start at 1 week, we're off the next. We start at 1 week, we quit for 6. Maybe it's our business. Like, am I making my post one day and I take off 3 days? Or, is there any consistency to me? That breeds trust. Um, and then I just believe trust means having your back. I think trust means that the people around you know that you have their back. Would they say that about you? Right? Would they say, I know I could count on Dr. Bob. He'd be there if I need him. And I do believe that, you know, Dr. Bob was an amazing dentist. And it's like, you know what? I probably could seek some advice from him. Right. But I know I could trust him. I know he's got my back. And then I just believe it's the true fundamental of life. Like, you don't have to be a perfect person, but we can work to be a trustful, trustworthy person, if that makes sense. And so, um, for me, it's like consistency can create more of trustworthiness in people. I always say this, and I used to say this to my ball teams: I got to earn your trust. You know, if you just start working with me, it's like, how do I know if I'm going to trust him? How do I know if he's going to be a guy that ends up hurting me long term or ends up raiding my? I mean, all this stuff that people think about, and it's like, you don't know that. Trust is built over time by a repetition of action. And so, Masaba, that was my thoughts this morning on trust. Andrew, I'll turn it to you. Great word for today, because it really speared me. I'm like, I want to be a trust person. I want to be somebody that people trust, but I've got to show up and I got to create that action that creates that trust. So I'll turn it to you, Andrew.
Well, I thought this was a great word too. And thank you, Masaba. And what an important lesson. Because when I kind of came at it in from two different directions, but I thought about, you know, all the things that we truly need to have trust in order to grow and thrive. And then all the trust that we need to build in order for other people to want to be around us and work with us and have a life with us. And the quote that I found, and I thought this was so powerful, where it said, to be trusted is a greater compliment than to be loved. And I don't know who said it, it's said unknown. But I think about how many times people, especially you kind of barely know somebody, but you just love them. They're so sweet and you just want to be around them. But the power of when you get to know somebody deeper and you can keep loving them, but then when you know, you can truly trust them. And so what I looked into is, how do we create trust? What can we do as humans out there, these imperfect humans, as Coach likes to point out, these imperfect humans out there working with other humans, being with other humans? How do we create trust? So first of all, be true to your word. And it's so obvious, right? But I think so many times we want to say yes. Like Melinda calls me up and she's like, hey, I want to do an event in Oregon. Can you jump over here? And my knee-jerk reaction is to say, well, Melinda's never asked me for help with anything, so I better get on a plane and go help Melinda. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then I can come back and look at logistics, logistically, and go, okay, well, I got to figure out the kids and I got to figure out this work and I got to pay for it. And maybe I can't. So sometimes we make these promises out of the best intention and the best place of our heart, but it's not actually feasible. So slow down a little bit so that when you are saying something, you absolutely mean it. And I've got one today. I've got a training at 6 o'clock today that I said yes to somebody, and I don't know who. So I've got it on the calendar and I have no idea who I'm. Oh, is it you, Michelle? Oh, good. I don't know, but I'm like, I've got it on the calendar and I'm going to show up, but I have no idea who's going to show up with me, because I spoke before I actually did the work and the thought to make sure that I could actually do it. So we'll see how that goes. Next is to learn how to communicate effectively. So building trust is not without risk, right? We've got to be both vulnerable and we've got to allow other people to be vulnerable with us, and we've got to take some risks and we've got to be willing to prove that we are trustworthy. So to navigate this, we've got to have effective communication. And again, this can be something that can be a little bit difficult because sometimes we're too direct, sometimes we're not direct enough, sometimes we need to pick up that crazy enough. Anybody else get caught in the trap of texting and you're like, I did not communicate with them at all. We both just confused each other and we're on two different lanes. So picking up the phone and actually connecting and communicating with people. Number 3 is to remind yourself that it takes time. Building trust is a daily commitment. So don't make the mistake of expecting too much too soon and kind of getting ahead of getting the horse ahead of the cart. Next is to value the relationships that we do have. Just like Coach said, trust is a result of consistency. And sometimes those people that are closest to us, we can start being inconsistent with them because we know that they love us. And we know that they'll be there for us. Kind of like how our kids act up the most for us than they do. You send them to school and they're like, they're angels. And you're like, really? That's fantastic. But we can do the same thing to the people closest to us. So make sure that we're valuing those people closest to us and not just taking that for granted. Next is to contribute. If we truly want to build trust in a team, we've got to be a team player. So when we take an active role and raise our hand and say, yeah, I'll bring the flyers for that, or I can do that in a way I can actually do, people are going to see our efforts and they're going to see that we are being a part of this and they're going to trust us more. And then lastly, always do what you believe to be right. And sometimes it can be difficult, right? To do the right thing. Sometimes the easy thing isn't the best thing. So even when other people disagree with us, make sure that you do what you truly believe to be right in your heart, what you can do with honesty. And even though they might disagree, they'll know that they can trust us moving forward because we're not just the yes person. You ever have somebody in your life that you're like, hey, is it possible to? And they're like, yeah. And then you find out, no, because they were just agree with you just to agree with you. So sometimes the best way we can build trust is to disagree and to say no and say, you know what? I don't think that that's the truth. It might not be what they want to hear, but they'll know that they can trust our words. So I thought this was a powerful one, Masaba. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your word today.
Yeah, everybody give Masaba a big shout out. He's a great man. Enjoy him being a part of this community. But great lesson, Andrea. And guys, we love you. We appreciate you. We hope you have an amazing Wednesday. Happy hump day. And we'll see you back tomorrow.
Love you guys.
If you're a part of our company, there is a call tonight, special call, 5 p.m. Central. We'll be getting that out in Telegram and all the other chat channels. So have a great one.
Oh, hold on. There we go. All right. Love you guys. Have a beautiful day.